What's up, YouTube? This is President Brisbane, first president of the entire American continent. Uh, it looks like the United States, Canada, and Mexico have dissolved, and I am the first guy to represent this area of the globe, so half the world. There's a reason for that. I represent the first noocracy, so the entire global scientific community, and we're trying to save half the planet from human activity and human stupidity, and that's what we're up to. Cascadia has expanded from the Pacific Northwest, and the entire continent runs under Chief Seattle philosophy now. So this means that we all share the land. No one owns property anymore. It's pre-colonial. So this is before Manifest Destiny again. And all this time you've been paying rent to landlords. Rent is banned on the entire continent in 2021. And you won't be able to use that as a weapon for the impoverished anymore. And arson has run amok since I became president in 2014 and all this. We need a continental firefighting fleet that is much more serious. I want, just as a start, 30 C5 retrofitted from the Air Force to be used for firefighting now. We should be having a grid of drones, of 1,000 plus drones, to put fires out. We can create pictures in the sky with drones nowadays. Well, we should be using them to fight fires and gather water from the river, and we should be pumping serious amounts of water up the hill at this point with more pumps than ever before. And firefighting's a big deal. We need to get rid of our dry wood. We want the big trees to get bigger all over the continent, and we want to quit clear cutting. And that's the big thing. We have to care for the environment now. And if you look at all the oil spill maps, you're going to see the trend. I've been running up against big oil. And when you run against big oil, it's like that's the big beast. People have died in the past going up against big oil. Innovation is the solution, of course, as always. Solar is a great innovation. I invented the thermoelectric window generator. So you have an answer for a nighttime thermal solution in the bitter cold of the winter, especially. We're going to have more solutions and more solutions. So if you have the representative of the entire scientific community backing innovation and moderation and everything when it comes to the environment and protecting the environment, it's a good thing. It's going to be good for everybody. We want to protect the wildlife on this half of the planet. We want to import those species that are dying in other parts of the world where they're still getting poached and stuff. Like, it's hard to transport elephants over the ocean on barges and all this. Like, they're going to die in Africa. We have to save the elephants. This is the rhinos are just an example of what is going to happen. Now they're doing ridiculous ideas. I call this the idiocracy, when they do these ridiculous ideas like making the rhino husks and such radioactive as a deterrent and all this. We need to stop using deterrence and thinking in Iron Mountain mentality. I command every national army in the world, so there's really no more fighting like this by proxy, and weather war should be done away with soon. We can't afford to have multiple factions with super weapons and all this fractured leadership. You can't have fractured leadership for the entire planet, so we consolidated all leadership for my generation. I don't fuck around. I don't tolerate ecological terrorism and bombing the BP oil rig, the Deepwater Horizon, stuff like this. I won't stand for arson. I won't stand for intentional oil spills. That's what I'm up against. That's what I've been up against. So I don't care if the arson is coming from laser beams from helicopters, or if it's people on the ground, if it's the firefighters themselves. We have to totally redo firefighting if the firefighters are starting fires. Now, I understand the concept of a burn line. We're going to bring back smoke jumpers and everything. Innovation in firefighting is what is up right now. And because you want to talk about carbon bombs, well, wildfires are the biggest carbon bomb in the world. If we allow these wildfires to go off, that leads to what I call desertification. So we all know about it. It will get drier and drier every time we allow these wildfires to go. So they all say forest management. Back in the day, we actually tried to put these fires out, and firefighting has become a joke. So, when you do secession and all this, your firefighting's going to become a joke on the West Coast, and that's what has happened over the last decade since 2014. We can do better. We're going to do better. I'm the president of the continent now, so my generation supersedes your dumb-ass fractured generation in all its leadership, in all its irresponsible recklessness. We've been watching you guys. You gave birth to us, and things are going to change. So I actually understood Thomas Jefferson when he wrote the Declaration of Independence, and that's what got me started with leadership in Cascadia, because I knew that for 2.5 centuries, the United States hasn't understood Jefferson regarding basic rights, upholding our unalienable right to life. Okay? Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. We all know about it. It sounds good when we hear it, but do we actually practice it? Now, I made the argument that if you were upholding our unalienable right to life as the government, no governor would have ever rubber-stamped an execution. Execution is banned, okay? You can't execute people when you represent the government, okay? It's called upholding basic rights. Abortion is banned. We should have never allowed it, and this might be a controversial topic. The Pink Hat March, the biggest march in U.S. history, well, they were all morons. They didn't understand basic rights. The unborn have an unalienable right to life. Not even the government can take away. It shouldn't be endorsed. We should be upholding basic rights. The police, when representing the government, should have never shot and killed anyone. And that's a rude awakening. Here's another rude awakening. The entire prison industrial complex was against the 8th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. It should have never existed. It's torture. It's cruelty. You put a man in a cage, That's cruelty. That's torture. We stop doing it. We let killers live. But yes, we do something. We isolate them from society. Okay? So they should get to live like normal people. But they're going to be segregated from society. There are solutions. There's always a middle way to all these things. So monocrop culture is over. Growing just corn, growing just GMO wheat. Stop it. We diversify our crops. How can we survive and sustain ourselves as a society when we grow only 2 crops? Stop doing monocrop culture. You were bought off as farmers. The government paid you to do this moronic thing. We have irrigation, and that's what we have, especially in the Pacific Northwest. I noticed that we had irrigation in the West. And the further that I went east, the corn got drier and drier. So irrigation is the foundation of civilization. You have to understand, when you're doing Burning Man, and as humanity, all you do is burn things. We should be irrigating things instead. So we should be all joining and turning the desert green instead. And we can. We can turn the desert green. We've done it. If you make a grid of sticks, the water will start holding. Okay? It's about building up the soil. How are we going to build up that soil? Here, we could use our own shit to build up that soil. We could turn the desert green with our own shit. I'm the world's smartest man. What do? We turn the desert green with our own shit. We do stuff like this. Okay, what's the biggest problem on planet Earth? We have our top 10 global priorities. Number 1, we're all talking about climate change as a planet right now, right? It's the ocean, how we treat the ocean. The ocean, we can't let the ocean die, okay? We have overfished the ocean. And now jellyfish blooms are taking over. When we allow this to happen, they're going to eat the zooplankton. You're going to have hypoxia as a planet. The Pacific garbage patch growing instead of shrinking is going to create hypoxia for the planet. We're going to not have enough oxygen. It's going to acidify the ocean. The more carbon we put out, oceanic acidification, number 1 global priority. How can we stop it? When I command the U.S. military, the biggest carbon producer, when we stop driving combustion engine cars and pumping out coal to create energy, oil to create energy, we should not be exporting coal anymore. We've seen what coal does to the air. It ruins the air. Stop exporting coal to China. It's ruining their air. Care about their air, even if it's cheap. Electricity isn't worth reducing your air quality for anyone. And that's still going to travel across the globe. Stop building new nuclear power plants. And the old ones, we're going to have security for them, because there's going to be multiple meltdowns. We have over 850 nuclear reactors on this planet. We don't know how to shut them off. We never knew how. That's the idiocracy. We do dumb stuff. Einstein said it's a hell of a way to boil water.
He was insinuating that it's dumb. I mean, nuclear has its place. If there is an asteroid, yes, nuclear is on the table to take out an incoming asteroid headed for Earth. There are things that it can be used for. But if any nation detonates a nuclear weapon at this point when I command the world army, your leadership is a thing of the past. Your nation and its leadership is not relevant if you test a nuclear weapon. I don't care if you're the US government. I don't care if it's the Navy. Okay? Stop it. Your leadership is now irrelevant. I supersede your leadership if you are testing nuclear weapons. No nation is allowed to do it. There will be no more shooting down interstellar spacecraft visiting Earth for study. We have been trying to reverse engineer their craft, and if we're going to get off this rock, we need proper interstellar travel, and that means communication. We need contact. Contact is important. If we piss off aliens, we might be up for a fight that we can't win. Okay? And when we try to show off with our military, showing how cool we are with our latest tech, our ability to shoot down satellites in orbit, well, every time we shoot a satellite in orbit, that creates satellite debris that scatters and hits all other satellites. Internationally, they all have to be protected. We can't play God with our fractured leadership any longer. It has been consolidated.